This man killed by ghost. The small town of Willow's Edge had always been steeped in mystery, its dark history woven into the very fabric of its cobblestone streets and ivy-covered buildings. Among the whispered tales, none was more haunting than the story of the old Harrow mansion, perched on the edge of the dense blackthorn forest. It was said to be cursed, haunted by the spirit of Eleanor Harrow, a woman who had met a tragic end nearly a century ago. When Martin Caldwell, a skeptic by nature and a journalist by trade, moved to Willow's Edge to escape the chaos of city life, the mansion's tale intrigued him. Determined to debunk the myths, Martin decided to investigate the legend. On a chilly evening, armed with his camera, recorder, and a flashlight, Martin approached the Harrow mansion. The house loomed large, its silhouette jagged against the moonlit sky. The air grew colder as he stepped closer, as though the house itself exhaled an icy breath. Inside, the mansion was a labyrinth of decay-peeling wallpaper, shattered windows, and furniture draped in sheets thick with dust. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of floorboards under Martin's feet. He began recording his observations, dismissing every eerie sound as natural. As midnight approached, Martin felt an inexplicable heaviness in the air. He was in what seemed to be the study when he noticed a portrait above the fireplace, a woman with piercing eyes that seemed to follow him. The plaque read Eleanor Harrow, 1884 to 1923. Suddenly, a soft whisper brushed against his ear. He spun around, flashlight slicing through the darkness, but there was no one there. A chill ran down his spine. "It's just the wind," he muttered to himself, though his voice quivered. The whisper came again, this time louder, more distinct. It was a single word, "leave." Martin's rationality began to waver. He tried to push down his fear, but his hands trembled as he adjusted his camera. Determined to prove the mansion's emptiness, he ventured upstairs. The second floor was even darker, the air thicker. One door stood ajar, revealing a bedroom frozen in time. A four-poster bed sat in the center, its canopy tattered, and an old vanity stood against the wall. Martin approached the vanity, and as he did, the mirror's surface began to ripple like water. "Impossible," he whispered, reaching out to touch it. The moment his fingers brushed the mirror, a deafening scream erupted. Martin stumbled backward as a figure emerged from the glass, a translucent woman in a blood-stained dress, her eyes hollow and accusing. It was Eleanor. "Why have you come here?" she demanded, her voice echoing unnaturally. Martin couldn't move, couldn't speak. He wanted to run, but felt rooted to the spot. Eleanor's form flickered, her anger palpable. You are just like him," she hissed. "Like who?" Martin managed to croak.
"The one who ended my life," she replied, her voice dripping with venom. "You bear his face." Confusion mixed with terror, Martin had no idea what she meant. Before he could ask, the ghost lunged at him, her spectral hands closing around his throat. He felt a crushing weight, as if drowning in cold water. But just as quickly as the attack began, it stopped. Eleanor stepped back, her expression shifting to one of sorrow. "You must leave," she warned, "before it's too late." Martin didn't need to be told twice. He bolted from the mansion, leaving his equipment behind. The next morning, shaken but alive, Martin delved into the town's archives. What he found left him breathless. Eleanor Harrow had been murdered by her fiancé, a man named Edward Caldwell, Martin's great-grandfather. As the pieces fell into place, Martin realized why the ghost had reacted so violently. He was a descendant of the man who had wronged her, and her vengeance had not faded with time. Haunted by the experience, Martin decided to leave Willow's Edge, but Eleanor's warning echoed in his mind. Despite his efforts to move on, strange occurrences followed him, shadows moving on their own, whispers in empty rooms, and the feeling of being watched. One fateful night, as Martin sat alone in his apartment, the lights flickered, a cold wind swept through the room, and the temperature plummeted. "She warned you," a voice said behind him. Martin turned to see Eleanor's ghost standing there, her expression a mix of anger and pity. Before he could react, she reached out, and everything went black. When the police found Martin's body the next day, there were no signs of foul play, only an expression of sheer terror frozen on his face. The headline in the local paper read, "This man killed by ghost," but the truth remained buried, known only to the restless spirit of Eleanor Harrow and the Caldwell bloodline she would never forgive.